This is Logical Logistics, where we cover shipping, supply chain, logistics, and everything in between. Welcome to the show. All right, thanks for joining us for the latest episode of Logical Logistics. Today, my guest is Charles Rick, president of M&G Packaging Corporation in Floral Park, New York. Charles, thanks for joining us today.
Joe, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So, M&G Packaging, it's quite an impressive company. Covers all types of logistics, shipping, packaging. Yeah, packaging solutions. Tell me about it.
Right. Well, we're a national packaging company. We've got locations throughout the U.S. And we're manufacturing pallet covers and stretch wrap and tapes and corrugated boxes, specifically for the airline and freight forwarding community. We're really, really focused on that for the last 27 years since I started in this company 27 years ago. My focus has been, since we're so close to JFK, to be really working with the airlines. And even today, we're still selling the same airlines that we started with 27 years ago. So a good testament that we're doing a good job.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons is that we're constantly always looking for the future and looking for cost-saving options. And in plastics especially, the industry with plastics has come such a long way since The Graduate, when he says, think plastics, in the movie. There's a lot of high-tech resins that are out there right now, and there's an opportunity now to take your typical plastic and make it much thinner, yet it's still as strong or even stronger than a heavier plastic, and offers cost savings. So, we're always really into the state of sustainability and being green, and we know that is the future. So all our products are made with recycled product, recycled content, and as long as we stay focused on future items and what's out there 3 years ahead, 5 years ahead, I think we're going to have a very healthy and a prosperous future.
Great. Now you have an interesting background. I believe you were a nationally ranked tennis player, correct?
I do. It's funny that you said that. I played tennis. I started 8 years old, and I played competitive tennis. I was nationally ranked, as you said, and I turned pro when I was just about 16. I went on tour, and when you go on tour, you just don't start off at the U.S. Open. You've got to play these little smaller tournaments, and I was fortunate to be sponsored by a few companies like Reebok and Sergio Tacchini and Yonex tennis racket. So everything was going great until I realized in the real world there's a number one tennis player in every country, in every age group, and it's a very lonely life, as no one likes to talk to each other because I might have to play you tomorrow and this and that.
Yeah.
So while I was doing that, I was always like a hustler. I always was trying to make money as a kid. I had a swimming pool cleaning company. I had doing the flea markets on the weekends. So I always had a knack for selling. I always was an outgoing person. And at some point when I was on tour, I really felt deep down that I was never going to be like, John McEnroe would be number one in the world or anything like that. And I decided at that point that I had a great family business that my parents started, in the early 50s, that they built up to a beautiful business and a great platform for me to just go into that business and build on it.
Okay.
And I was very fortunate to have, great credit with them and to really build up on our company.
Yeah.
So I went to my dad, now fast forwarding now I'm 19 years old. And I said, Dad, I'm ready to go into the business. And he said, great, get into the warehouse and start sweeping the floors and start loading the trucks. And basically, Joe, that's what I did for the next 3 years.
Yeah. And so what year is this?
This was now 1988, 87, 88.
Okay.
And what was amazing, what was so smart about starting from the ground up is that, I can go out right now to any of our facilities, hop on a forklift, and load a truck.
Sure.
I know my product inside and out because when you lift those cases all day long and you look at that product all day long, I mean, indirectly, it's being entrenched in your mind. It's you just know so much about the product, so much product knowledge. So my father and my mother are incredible people, And my father was a very smart man on how he trained me. And why I say that is I was making, your minimum money, just, whatever at the time was $50 a day. I was making $250 a week. And we were very close to JFK Airport. So my father said, you need to go out selling and learn how to sell. So you're going to go out once a week. Why don't you go to JFK? And and I'm not going to pay you your $50, so I'm only going to pay you commission when you're out selling.
Yeah.
So if you screw around, if you want to go to the beach or go to a friend's house and not work, you're not going to get paid. So he really kind of forced me to really kind of go out and try to make, I said I'm a young 19-year-old, want to get as much money as possible, get a nice car and all these good things.
Right.
So I started literally going to the airport, which again, like I mentioned, we were very, very close to, less than 5 miles away.
Yeah.
And just started going in. At the time, it was way before, obviously, 9/11. So you can just kind of walk into the buildings without really any security.
Right.
And I was able to meet the right people and offer a savings to them of, the product that we manufactured. And that's the beautiful story. And Air France was like one of our first airlines that we started with, and we still sell Air France to this day.
So wait,
yeah.
you go into Air France as a 19-year-old kid, correct?
Yes.
What did you do? I mean,
it's amazing.
Yeah.
I literally, first of all, like somebody walked out the door, I walked in the door, and I was walking around the hallway, and like this gentleman came over to me. And keep in mind, when you're like 19 years old and someone's in their 60s with gray hair, or in their late 60s, I'm thinking like my grandfather at the time.
Right.
And so, this man comes over to me and says, son, can I help you? And I'm like, yes. I just whip out my business card. I barely have my wrap down. And I'm like, hi, I'm Charles from M&G. We manufacture plastic. And are you using plastic? I know you're using plastic. And he goes, come with me. And he brings me into this girl, Laura's office. And he said, Laura, please sit down with this young gentleman and see if we could help him out. So sure enough, they took me out to their warehouse and they showed me what they were buying. And I discovered what they were buying, what they thought they were buying is not what they were getting. And it's a very typical story back in the day in the airline industry of really no one knowing footage or what they're getting and what they're paying for.
Yeah.
So I discovered that they were really getting a lot less plastic and was able to save them literally tens of thousands of dollars throughout the year. And they were grateful for me discovering what was going on. And that's how it all kind of started. And from that point on, I literally went to every airline kind of with the same, like there's a department store in New York called Sims department stores.
Yeah.
And their logo is an educated consumer is our best shopper. So for myself, I agree. I want you to know it's all about the product because I'll always win in pricing when you're doing apples for apples. And unfortunately, a lot of times it's not apples for apples. It's apples and oranges, and it's too good to be true. It's not going to be true. It's the old adage.
So back in 1987, when you're first selling to these airlines at JFK, what are they looking for and what are they utilizing?
Okay, so cargo has to be wrapped. We're making these large pallet covers. We have the ability with our equipment to run something in line. And what I mean by in line means no one touches it. The machine makes the whole bag completely and puts it on a roll. So we have the capability of making huge, basically plastic bags that go over the cargo that you see getting loaded or unloaded on your aircraft. And what the plastic is doing is just protecting it really from the elements, rain, typhoons, different weathers throughout the world. Because unfortunately, and I guess everyone knows, even in this podcast of the air freight community, unfortunately things do stay out on the runway and on the tarmac more than they should. And so without our plastic, it's really not going to be protected at all. So we're doing that. We're doing a lot of TSA supplies. We were involved with the original CCSFF screening program back with Expeditors in, I guess, 2010.
Okay.
And so we basically started with the yellow little round labels and all that stuff, and we manufacture a blue void tape that the TSA uses, part of the program to close boxes that were open for X-ray.
Okay, so going back, going back to when you first sold to JFK, the airlines, obviously your array of products have evolved quite a bit. So can you take us through how that evolution occurred? Because obviously the TSA really came into play after 9/11, and there's the industry is constantly evolving, especially with security. And as you mentioned right off the start, talking about being eco-friendly, green companies. So talk about how your company and your product line has evolved over the years.
Well, again, going with green, down gauging on the plastics. We have a new product which is a corrugated pallet as well, which we're very, very excited about, which we'll be introducing nationwide. So that's going to be another great item for anybody. All companies now have a sustainability program where they need to really become more green. That is the future. So getting back into 1987. We were just going around, selling the pallet covers, selling the regular stretch wrap, and then again, as this high-tech resin started coming in, we were able to take a plastic roll that you might have been paying $20 for, and we're able to now charge you $15 for, and simply by giving you, and a great analogy when I'm talking about this high-tech resin is if you go to a deli and you buy a bag of ice.
Okay.
That ice is all jagged, and it's maybe a 5 or 10 pound bag, and it's sharp, the ice. The bag, if you really look at the bag, and I'm sure hopefully everyone that's listening to this will go to their deli next time and kind of look at that plastic bag.
Yeah.
The bag is super, super thin.
All right. You're right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yet it's really, really strong. So if you kind of think about, and not to get too complicated, but if I just took a regular piece of plastic, said it's like 2 mil, okay, that would be the thickness. And say it costs $1 a pound, and I give you a plastic now that's half the thickness, that costs $1.20 a pound because it costs more. It's all done by weight. So in essence, there's still like a 30% savings.
Okay.
So you kind of have to let your mind, wrap around that because, your first thing would be saying, well, that's thin, that's never going to work. But until you start using it, you're going to realize that's actually a stronger film than your traditional heavier film. And that's said even on the stretch wraps. We've changed our stretch wraps so much. We've changed it to where we fold the edges in. So, like when you peel a piece of tape off and it nicks and you can't get the other piece to go and you're driving yourself nuts because you can't get the roll started. Stretch wrap also, when you drop it, does the same thing. Ours doesn't, because we roll the edges on the top. And by doing that, it protects it from being nicked. So you could literally throw our stretch wrap against the wall or run it over on a forklift, and it's still going to work.
Wow. Who's coming? Are you coming up with these innovations? Or?
I'm coming up with a lot of these innovations.
Right.
One of the big things is I'm an inventor. I just got actually a new patent just this week, which is called a box guard. It's basically like an insert that goes into any size kind of cargo box or any size box, that if anybody's trying to pilfer it and they try to cut into the box, they're going to in essence run into my little box guard that's inside the box.
Oh my God!
It's almost like a jail cell in a box.
Yeah, I know of especially out in your area. I've heard of horror stories with furs and
sure.
Yeah,
and they do it quick.
Yeah, exactly. Quick. Yeah,
so,
that's amazing.
You want to be able to just kind of like cut it. Somebody just takes a razor knife, cuts the box quick, takes out the phones. So what's nice about this is the box doesn't have to be, people put in like security tape, this and that. That only kind of like alarms people and alerts people that there's something valuable in the box. Mine goes inside the box. You wouldn't even know if it's a plain box, if it's valuable, or if it's even being protected because you can't see that.
Yeah.
So I've been very fortunate to come up with a bunch of patents, and I will go through 2 of them that are kind of relevant to our industry that we're in. Back in the early 90s, one of our customers, American Airlines, had a very big issue with seafood, bringing in seafood from Chile and all parts of South America and Latin America, where they were being packaged with fresh ice, and boxes were breaking and leaking basically water and ice and like fish guts and juices all over the airplane. And as you know, common sense, you really can't have salt water, metal, wires, luggage, kind of all in the same spot and have water all over the place.
Right.
So we knew that was a big concern. I was in Dallas. I met with the president at American Airlines at the time, which was David Brooks, and he did mention there was an issue, and I kind of I'm just that guy. I don't know, I'm just like a mechanical guy, and I kind of went back to my office, and I was kind of playing around with a lot of concepts of trying to figure out like a diaper, so to speak, or a pad that would catch the water. And I did come up with something, and I was able to get a patent on it. And we did bring it back to American Airlines, and American Airlines basically said, we're not going to do this because, the price is too prohibitive, and we were kind of upset, and we went back again, and the same kind of story. And then on a third meeting, we brought in the claims people from American, and it ends up they spent like $75,000 a claim, and they had multiple claims that year.
Yeah.
So once they realized how much money they were spending to clean the aircraft, Mr. Brooks at the time decided to make it mandatory that any seafood shipments are shipped on our diapers.
Wow.
So that's exciting, and that's still today. If you're shipping FedEx or American or all these other Amerijets, they're all shipped using, and now Alaska Air, all using our mats. So that's what's so exciting about the industry is that it's not like every day I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know who's going to call me with an issue, with a problem, with what they're looking for, something unique. And, when I started this business, my father did tell me that. He's like, what's so exciting is you don't know who's going to call you next. I love the industry. And I kind of adapt to see what's out there. One of my other patents is a luggage bag, and that's available now at every FedEx office in the United States. And that bag basically I invented that bag because we were selling bags to people that were shipping luggage to the extra luggage from flights that were delayed from one airport to another. There was companies like at JFK that would pick up the luggage and deliver them to your house and things like that.
Yeah.
And there were issues with pilferage. So I kind of came up with basically this little plastic bag, like a sandwich bag with a piece of security tape on it, like a FedEx envelope, that you peel it and it just, sticks to the bag and you can't open it, just like a FedEx envelope. And it was working. So I had the opportunity, Air France, again, it's funny how Air France just comes into my life. The Concorde was interested in my bag. So we made bags for the Concorde flights. And so we had our luggage bags printed up Air France Concorde. And I actually worked a couple of those flights and went on the Concorde. It was amazing because, you would have in the morning at this 5:30, 6 o'clock morning flight, you literally had, supermodels coming in with 15 pieces of luggage. You had people like Michael Jackson flying. I mean, who else was really, spending $15,000 at a time to go on, on this plane?
Right.
So, the people that were showing up were like, holy cow. It was like, the uber rich.
Yeah.
So my luggage bag was originally for pilferage of luggage. And then when 9/11 happened, we really still feel adamant, and we work with the TSA. We really, really, really feel strong. Matter of fact, we're going to be doing a press release soon about this, that luggage is an issue because once it's x-rayed, it really needs to be contained. And obviously we want it to be x-rayed and then sealed in our bag. And once it's sealed, and you're not going to be able to go and get into it unless you rip the bag open. So at least every bag that's going onto the aircraft is sealed, and it can't be contaminated by someone that's going to be, a fuel guy, or the guy that's putting on the luggage that has a little bomb in his jacket that he could just put in the suitcase quickly. So we feel that's a future item. It's kind of been like, the FedEx likes it because people are shipping luggage. So that's why they sell it at the FedEx office. You could just put your luggage in, know it's safe.
Yeah.
And then it gets to the destination. So as you can see, we're really just all over the place, but always moving and shaking.
That's fantastic. I love to hear about new innovation and how companies adapt and evolve over the years. Going back to that evolution, so at what point did you take over the company?
I took over the company. Unfortunately, my father passed away in 2000.
Okay.
And I think by then I was already building my book of business quite. I was very, very fortunate that my father and my parents really got to see my growth and really see how I blossomed. And, a lot of kids don't have that opportunity. A lot of people don't have that opportunity to work with your parents every single day either.
Yeah.
And, that could be like, wow, an overload of like, I can't see my parents again. I'm going to go crazy. But my parents were super, super cool. I mean, very, very hip people and very supportive. Matter of fact, when we wanted to get our first computer system, we went to like the computer land where you bought the first computer for like 15 grand or 10 grand, and they're like,
Right.
you couldn't even operate your TV right now.
Yeah.
And my dad was like, throw in the rat, and the guy's like, what are you talking about? He's like, I want you to throw in the rat, which he was talking about the mouse. He was talking about.
Yeah.
So but when I said we needed the computer, they weren't like, no, we're not doing that. They were always, or we need a new piece of equipment or something. They always believed in me, and I think that's so important in life, and I think that's the reason for my success is that they did believe in some of my concoctions and some of my inventions and some of my craziness, and didn't think I was crazy. Just thought I was, maybe on the right track, and really just were really just proud of me. And unfortunately, when my father did pass away, I heard so many people, pull me over to the side and tell me, how much my dad was so impressed and, how I turned out and all this good stuff. So I think by then I was pretty much running the company, and then my mother passed away in 2006. And, so I've been running the company for the last 16 years. My father was actually sick. He died in 2000, but he was already pretty sick in maybe 3 years before that. So I've been running the company, I guess, about 20 years.
Yeah.
18 years now.
It's a wonderful story. It really is.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and I read a lot of biographies from all different walks of life, and it seems like a very common thread. I mean, you do have those, that support from your parents or a mentor that helps you evolve as a person and grow. It's really a great story. It really is.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And it's I'm just very fortunate. That not many people get an opportunity. People talk about Trump, and listen, he's very successful, but you have to remember his father, Fred Trump, was a great businessman and gave him a great platform. And I always mention, it's so hard to start a business nowadays. It's so hard to establish credit. It's so hard to do all this. I was fortunate that when I did take over this company or get into this company, I was very fortunate that I had such a great foundation. So it was easy for me when I called the manufacturer or someone that we need to. They're like, oh, M&G, okay. Not like, oh, you never paid us last time. We're not going to sell you. This and that. So it is extremely important also. So I guess what I'm trying to say is my success is really due from the great platform my parents created.
Yep.
I guess I could take some credit, and I am taking credit, but I have to give them most of the credit from starting this literally on their kitchen table.
Yeah.
So in Brooklyn.
Now, where are you at as far as, you mentioned the airlines? Do you have customers outside of the airline arena? And what is your product? What's the array of products that you offer?
We primarily actually do really focus on the airline and aviation industry. Now, Keep in mind, we do a lot of moving. We do U-Haul throughout the United States. So we're obviously in the moving industry as well. And then we do have some, general customers. We deal with the New York City Police Department for their evidence boxes, and we make a lot of weird stuff for a lot of other people. But again, to be successful in our industry, we feel that you almost have to just be like a specialist and focused, and that's why I'm constantly just branding our name in this air freight cargo industry. We're constantly now moving a little bit to food packaging because that's becoming a very, very big thing.
Yeah.
But more importantly, just specializing in this. I'll tell you a funny story. And your name, as it just gets more entrenched or just more embedded into people, it just builds on your brand. And we're trying to just build a brand.
Sure.
a funny story was we get phone calls all the time from startup airlines. And one airline that called me 17 years ago was a girl. Her name was Laura Feldman, beautiful, wonderful, wonderful woman. And she called me up and she said, "Hi, we're a brand new airline at a JFK. We're called JetBlue, and we have one airplane."
Yeah.
And I was like, "All right, so you have one airplane." She's like, "Listen, I got your name through Delta, and you sell them something that we need, but and I sell Delta like they come like 1,000 per case, and Delta buys a ton of them." And I said, "Well, how many do you need?" She's like, "Well, I only need 2 because we only have one aircraft. I'll take 2 for now, but we plan on getting more airplanes in the next coming months. So if there's any," I said, "Well, they come at." She's like, "I can't take 1,000 of them." So I said, "You know what, Laura? I have a good feeling about you." So I opened up a case, I took out a bunch of them, and I sent it to her for free. And she was like, "Thank you so much. I'll never forget you. Anything we need, we'll start using you, and hopefully we'll be a big airline one day." And sure enough, we still sell JetBlue to this day. They're a great, great partner of ours. We do a lot of philanthropy, to a lot of charities, and JetBlue is always our partner, where they'll always give us tickets for the auctions and the raffles. But it's amazing how you just never know who's calling you, like I mentioned earlier, and what they're going to become. I mean, at the time, JetBlue was like JetBlue. Like I heard every name of every startup airline already. So it was just weird. This one happened to take off big. And,
I love stories like that.
And it's a wonderful, wonderful story.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful that, and I can appreciate that. I've been to places where the guy's like, "Listen, I'm buying from a company that gave me first credit, and we didn't have credit, and we're not going to leave them." And I have to respect that. I'm going to say, "You know what, I respect that, and thank you for your time, and, God bless." I think that's very, very cool.
Definitely. All right. Today, our guest is Charles Rick, president of M&G Packaging Corporation in Floral Park, New York, right by JFK. Charles, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
Best way is I'll give you 2 ways. First,
right.
My email, which is Charles, so CHARLES, at mgpackaging.com.
Okay.
And that's all spelled out, no ampersand, just mgpackaging.com.
Right.
Or my phone number, which is 800-240-5288.
Okay, great. So that's Charles at mgpackaging.com. And the phone number is 1-800-240-5288.
Correct.
All right. Charles, I can't thank you enough for joining us today.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
It's a great story, and you just provide such an important service and product to the shipping industry, particularly the airline industry. And it's just fascinating how you came in and just sold on the side for your dad, but you had that drive to be. You're an innovator. You invent products that have just evolved over the years and have improved our quality of life. It's just it's really an amazing story. So I can't thank you enough for being our guest today.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and I really enjoyed myself.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next week. Hey, thanks for listening to the show. If you want to drop us a line, email us at becht5@comcast.net. You can leave comments, or if you want to be a guest, becht5@comcast.net. Also, make sure to review us on iTunes or other media outlets that we're located on. And we'll see you next time on Logical Logistics. Logistics.
Click the subscribe button for new videos every week and download us and review us on iTunes. Visit www.beslogistics.net for more logistics, transportation, and warehousing resources. Thanks for watching.